Kevin Williamson, you magnificent bastard. Sick stars Gideon Adlon, Dylan Sprayberry, Bethlehem Million, and is directed by John Hyams. What's up, guys? Brand new 2023 review, second of the year. Sick, a movie that I literally just heard about, I think, a week ago. You know, streaming, it really creeps up on you. Because, you know, like a couple years ago, like maybe pre-pandemic, movies were coming out in theaters. There wasn't as much stuff like this sneaking up on you in streaming. Now, this movie, I'm surprised they didn't put it in theaters because it's that good. It's that quality of a horror film. It's a hybrid of like a home invasion, but also a slasher film, okay? Because there's a body count for sure.
I wanted to see you, and quarantine can be fun.
So anyway, before we dive deep, let's give you a quick plot synopsis. Obviously, the movie's called Sick, and it is based around the pandemic. I don't even know if I can say the C word, okay? But what's cool about this is this takes place in like the month after all this stuff kicked off. I remember I had just reviewed the movie The Hunt, and right after I reviewed that movie, we went to the store to get some toilet paper, and everybody was just buying up freaking toilet paper. Like, you couldn't find it anywhere. Like, this was just the very beginning of the whole thing, and I think The Hunt was like the last movie that came out before theaters and pretty much the world just shut down. And so this is really a time capsule to go back to, and I'd swear, you know, watching this movie, if, like, say the pandemic never happened, this would be like watching one of those, you know, apocalyptic type movies. You know, something out of a George Romero type movie. As a matter of fact, I was getting comparisons of like Night of the Living Dead, because throughout this movie, you know, it's a very small scale, confined type of film, but throughout the movie, you're gonna see television footage, you know, news footage of the pandemic, you know, CNN, all these other stations, and really, the world at that time was kind of freaking out. Like, we don't know what's to come. We don't know where this thing's gonna go. And everybody's, you know, they're just being extra careful. But, of course, you're gonna have some people that aren't being necessarily extra careful because this is the beginning of the whole thing. And there's a lot of people that they just didn't know, how, you know, what was going on and I guess how protective to be. And so our two main characters, Parker and Miri, they are going into this this cabin, secluded cabin, to get away from it all, to have a safe quarantine. And along comes this killer, all right? I'm gonna be very protective of what I tell you about this movie. I think the less you know, the better it is. Just know that the pandemic plays a major part into the plot of this movie. Now, first off, from a horror standpoint, I just reviewed Megan last week. I'm glad a lot of you guys like that movie. And I don't need every movie to be just filled with blood and guts. It's nice, but this one definitely has a lot of blood and guts, okay? The kills in this movie are pretty vicious, and they feel natural. They don't feel like, you know, they needed to stop and let's come up with the most creative kill possible. However, you know, comparing this to movies like Scream, where most of the kills are just with a knife, there is definitely some creativity with the kills in this. And there's quite a few kills in this, from being honest. You know, this whole movie doesn't take place in this, this house. There are other locations in the movie, especially at the beginning. Now, I think the real star of this movie, couple things. One, Kevin Williamson's writing. You know, he just is that good of a writer. You can tell, you know, just basic writing, and then, you know, a notch above, or two or three notches above, because Kevin Williamson, just very creative in terms of his story and taking this whole pandemic and just the fear aspect of it, and let's make it a home invasion slasher movie. And it works. It really works. But one thing I love about this, because I know some of you are a little worried about, you know, I don't want my horror movie to get agenda driven, and I don't want this to be a political type of thing. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. And what I mean by that is everything that happens in this movie is stuff that happens in real life. You know, especially when this whole thing kicked off. There was a lot of confusion and fear and overreacting. That happened. That's a fact. That is not, this side or this side, okay? This movie deals with that. This movie doesn't take a stand on this is wrong and this is right. Not at all. This movie knows exactly what it is. We are a horror movie. We're gonna give you blood and guts. We're gonna keep that bullshit out of here. And I love that this movie did that. And it's no easy feat given the subject matter, but man, does it pay off. It would have been super, super easy for any other writer to take this material and make it an agenda. Thank God they didn't. Now, the other high point of the movie for me is the pacing, the camera work, the direction. This is a modern slasher done right, and the camera never stops. Definitely getting vibes from like the original Halloween in terms of the camera moving strategically, and you're always looking to see what's in the frame because the killer could be anywhere. You know, and he does pop up here and there throughout. They don't do like stingers and they don't do like jump scares and whatnot. This plays out like what the situation would be like. Because you wouldn't hear stingers and music if this was happening in your house. It would be quiet, and it does that. The opening of this movie feels like a one-take shot. At least the scene that has a lot of violence in it. You know, thinking back to like the opening of the original Scream, you know, that whole opening, very violent. This one's the same way, except the camera work's different. It feels like it's one, maybe a couple takes. There's definitely some cuts in there, and you're gonna notice that, but you're gonna be so involved in the actual scene, you're not really counting the cuts. This is one of the most breakneck high-speed slashers I've seen in a long time. It never lets up. Kind of like what Your Next was. Once that movie kicked into high gear, holy shit. Same thing here. Now I have to give major props to our main leads, Gideon Adlon and Bethlehem Million. They are so good, the characters are so good, and you can't help but get behind them. And one thing I like about this is you don't really know who's the final girl, or if one of them, or maybe both of them are gonna be the final girl. And that's what I love about this. They're both equally effective. They have their own journeys throughout this movie. And they go through hell, okay? But they kick major ass as well. But it's believable. They're not doing like Jackie Chan bullshit, you know? They're just resourceful, smart young ladies. They're not perfect, but they're just in a situation where they have very little time to react. And you are gripping your freaking seat, as cliche as that sounds. You really are in this. Wow, this was really good, guys. For me, as a horror fan, I'm giving it a try on my own. It's that freaking good. If you're not the biggest horror fan, you know, you just want something that's just more like action driven, this definitely has that. Might be a little bit too bloody for you, but most of my audience, you know, you guys love horror like I do, you're gonna love this, okay? I will be shocked if, actually never mind. There's a few of you are gonna hate this movie. That's just the way it is. I'm not surprised anymore by my, like, in a perfect world, every single one of you would love this freaking movie. Like, it would baffle me that you wouldn't love this movie. But I guarantee you, you're gonna be like, this didn't really do anything for me. And I'm like, gee, okay, I quit. God damn it. But yeah, definitely check this movie out. It's on Peacock right now. I can't recommend it enough. It'll be tough to beat it, if I'm being honest, at least for horror. Like, this will definitely be in my top 10, probably top 5 horror movies of 2023. Calling it right now. All right, so anyway, let me know what you guys think of this movie when you see it. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day on Fridays. We do Free for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums and on my socials. Support me on Patreon, buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out. Oh, and happy Friday the 13th.